Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the Sabbath day. There's a lot to unpack in this verse, or verses, and I'm excited to dive into it with you. So you can see I'm starting a new page, which is awesome because I was running out of space in the bottom of the other page here. So we're just going to read. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. So, seems like a pretty short, straightforward point here. We'll box off the Sabbath day. Another thing too to remember, this might be a little bit obvious to some of you, but the Sabbath day doesn't have to be Sunday. I know that I work weekends every other weekend, and so sometimes I have to celebrate my Sabbath on a different day of the week. And it really doesn't matter which day, as long as you're giving one day to the Lord. Our bodies were designed to need rest. So why should our souls be any different? I mean, think about that. In Mark 2, you'll see Jesus talks about the Sabbath, where he says, "And he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord, even of the Sabbath." If you want to pull that out, we'll put Mark 2:27 to remind us that he made the Sabbath day for us, not because he needed it. Next verse, we'll do 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. All your work. Let's look at that. So the Sabbath goes actually both ways. You think about it as needing a day of rest, but it's actually about the work that you do on the other 6 days as well. So you need to be doing work not just because that's what you do, but to prepare for the Sabbath. And that almost has a spiritual connotation, where if you're working as hard as you can and you're working as unto the Lord, then you are ready for the Sabbath and for the rest that is given to you. It's a blessing from God. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. There's that "to the Lord your God" thing again. I think that's the third time it's been repeated. We're going to put "to the Lord." And if you want, you can probably circle "to" to kind of just give it a little bit more boldness here. And we'll look at Isaiah. If I can find it. Isaiah 58:13. "If you turn back your foot from the Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight and the holy day of the Lord honorable, if you honor it, not going your own ways, or seeking your own pleasure, or talking idly, then you shall take delight in the Lord, and I will make you ride on the heights of the earth. I will feed you with the heritage of Jacob your father, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken." Wow, that's a pretty awesome guarantee or promise to us about honoring the Sabbath. And it's not just about resting and doing whatever we want. He's talking about turning back your foot from the Sabbath, which means not to work, and from doing your pleasure on my holy day. So it's not just not working, but it's not doing whatever we want. We are dedicating that to the Lord. So on that part, I'm going to put Isaiah 58:13. Whoops. And we honor God. Let's get these a little bit more organized. And I know I mentioned at the beginning the book 10 by Mark Mitchell, and one of the things that he says about the Sabbath that I thought was so cool was, without the Sabbath, without Sunday, our souls are orphans. And then he says, on it you shall do not any work, you or your son or your daughter, your male servant or your female servant, or your livestock, or the sojourner who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. So we'll box off rested on the seventh day. And that story can be found in Genesis 2:2-3. I do have it right here if you want to make a note anywhere in there. But think about this. So in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth and everything, and then he rested on the seventh day. Do we think that we're better than God, that we don't need to rest? He didn't need to rest. He rested when he didn't need to, in order to model to us what he wanted us to do. We have such a busyness culture where we're pride ourselves on being busy all the time and being so busy we don't have time for the things that really matter in life. And people talk about how they don't have time for God, they don't have time for church or quiet time, but it really comes down to our priorities, and the Sabbath is something that we should be making a priority in our lives. Okay? So that is that. And then the end is, therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. So he set it apart, and so should we. Next time we're going to start on the commandments that talk about how to honor each other and how we relate to others. All right.